This video clip is going to work through the process of taking a graph out of Excel and formatting it properly to be included in a Microsoft Word document. Some of the items that we'll go through, making sure that there are units included on the axis labels. Once we're into the Word document, including a caption below the figure, centering the figure, sizing it appropriately, matching the font to the rest of the document, and making sure that font sizes are appropriate. So starting out with two columns of data that we're going to plot using an example from Mechanics and Materials, where we have a set of strain values and a set of stress values that we're going to plot together. And then the linear regression curve, the slope of that best fit line, represents the Young's modulus of the material. So selecting the two columns that you want to plot. When you have data, it's appropriate to use data markers only with no connections. And that inserts a plot with a bunch of Excel defaults, many of which we're going to adjust. In the layout section of chart tools, we want to add axis labels. We want to remove the legend, so legend and none. Excel automatically resizes the plot area appropriately. We want to have horizontal and vertical grid lines. And now we want to take the text and replace the appropriate labels and symbols in for the axis titles. We also want to add the units. For both the X and Y axis labels. And then we want to change this default title to something a little more meaningful. This test was conducted on an aluminum sample. So we can clearly see what the x-axis and what the y-axis are from the axis labels. So having a title of stress versus strain is not an informative title. So those are the text changes that need to be made. Then now we want to move to the Format tab of Chart Tools and make the chart as wide as possible. Make 6.5 is the text width, and a wider and shorter aspect ratio works better in sort of column inch efficiency or not taking up too much vertical space in your Word document. So we've got a plot that is now sized appropriately. We need to add the trend line to it. We select the data series, the right-click context menu, says add a trend line. You can fit any of several different types of regression lines. We want linear. We want to display the equation on the chart, and we want to display the R-squared value. The R-squared value is an indicator of how well the linear fit matches the data. And the regression equation ends up giving you the slope from the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So we want to adjust this just a little bit as well. First of all, we want to format the trend line label. We want to add some decimal places to the numbers so that we get more than, if we go back to general, we see here we have a single digit, 4 times 10 to the 6, whereas if we put a number or scientific, we can choose how many decimal places, and let's take it out to 4 decimal places with the scientific style so that we get more information. Now, let's add a white fill so that the grid lines don't interfere with the text, and add a line, let's make it black, to set it apart even more strongly. One last change that we want to do, which you should do just before copying and pasting it into your final document, is to make these symbols the appropriate ones for the quantities that are represented in the equation. So we have sigma equals the slope times the strain. Now we have an appropriately formatted regression equation and an appropriately formatted plot. At this point, you take the copy command to put it into the clipboard. You move to your Word document, place the cursor where you want it to go, and instead of just simply using a Control V, you want to go in to the paste options and you want to paste as a picture. Now it shows up, it's the appropriate text width, the formatting is taken care of. The next step is to insert a caption. This is not a table. We need to select a figure. It automatically places the figure below the item, which is appropriate, and now include a complete sentence with appropriate punctuation that describes the included plot. Okay, after writing your caption, all of that should be centered. And then before the plot, make sure to include at least one sentence with a cross-reference. From the References tab, a cross-reference to the reference type. You want to pull up figure. You want the reference to be only the label and number. Figure 1 below shows the Young's modulus for the aluminum sample tested in this experiment. Cross-reference with the field code matched to the figure with the caption with a field code as well.